Welcome to another Gateways for Seniors program. Our program today is titled Strategies for Working Caregivers of Relatives with Alzheimer's and Dementia. And our guest is Shirley Campbell. Shirley is the Private Pay Account Manager at Gateways for Seniors in Nashua, New Hampshire. Shirley, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You know, I know that caring for an aging relative with Alzheimer's or dementia has got to be incredibly challenging and even more stressful. And I would think that anyone who's starting their caregiving journey is going to need many, many resources and information. Tell us a little bit about that and about the different, stages of Alzheimer's.
Okay. Well, technically there are 7 stages of Alzheimer's. One is recognizing that there's original impairment. The second stage would be that there's some decline in the impairment. The third would be an even more drop-off of I guess you could say.
Capabilities or functioning.
Yeah, I think it's kind of along that lines. And then 4 would be obviously more moderate. I mean, it's progressional. And then 5 being more severe, and 6 being really severe, and 7 being very severe.
Right. And I would think that depending on where you are, that the caregiving requirements and perhaps even who the caregivers are, it may really change.
Absolutely. I think Gateways for Seniors, what we do is we go in and we have a one-on-one initial evaluation. We sit down with the family in the home and get an idea based on a conversation we have with all parties. The party that's technically the dementia or Alzheimer's potential client.
Right.
Their family members that are in observation of what they see that member doing. And then we evaluate that. We kind of take a look at, what they're on for medications and what types of things that they do on a normal routine and how best to adapt the home and their caregiving style for that individual.
So that'll give you an idea of where they are within those stages and what's really going to be required in finding the right caregiver or right series of services.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. It does vary. It can be, most of the time we go in and it's relatively early stage. I would say between 1 and 2, where they've noticed that grandma or mom is forgetting something.
Sure.
And not quite as severe as leaving a boiling pot on the stove and
But you're worried it might get there.
Exactly.
You want to do something about it before that happens,
exactly.
Right?
Yep. That's predominantly where we want to be in saving the dignity of the individual that's being affected as well as the family.
Right. I hear from so many people that one of the biggest challenges they face is, they're trying to take care of the aging parent or loved one, and yet they're also trying to stay employed because they need to. And especially with Alzheimer's, it just seems to make it so difficult, because your day can be filled with constant interruptions. You're calling to check in, they're calling you, quick trips home, all those things. And of course, sometimes it's 24/7. That can be expensive, obviously. How can you help with affordable daily care?
Okay. Well, there's a couple of ways we can do it. There is an adult daycare program that we offer where you can bring your family member and drop them off in the morning, or we can arrange for services to pick them up and drop them off for you and pick them up at the end of the day and bring them back to the home. The other piece is we can establish a call back contact where we actually call the client every morning and every night to remind them about medications and basically just to verbally check in with them. The other option is to provide rotational care, either a couple of times a week or 3 or 4 times a week, depending upon the level or the stage that the individual is at.
That must work great for a lot of families. I would imagine you get some great feedback from being able to do that.
The key is communication, both at the home when the individuals or the family members are around the particular individual that's affected by the disease, and by the caregivers that are actually there on a day-to-day basis.
Right. And just as importantly, it's obvious that there is a range of services, depending on what you need, that are designed to be as cost-effective as they can be based on the stage the individual's in.
Absolutely.
There's another question for you. Home modification, okay? What kind of home modifications can you help a family with, especially, again, Alzheimer's clients?
Again, it's stage related depending upon where they are. And I don't mean to focus in on that, but it does have a difference. If the individual recognizes time, then you want to get clocks. You want to make them prevalent, calendars, things that they are allowed to look at and reference as time blocks for themselves. If they're beyond that, then maybe you need to do some labeling. Put notes up on cabinets or on light switches or in the shower, or things that they're going to interact with on a day-to-day basis. There may even be things on the television or giant remotes that they have to simplify their life but allow them to still have quality of life.
Well, you've mentioned quality of life and also the importance of maintaining the dignity of the individual. And I agree that's so important. At the same time, for many families, there comes a point where they've realized that they're going to have to move the individual, perhaps to some level of care facility. That's got to be one of the hardest things to do. What's the best strategy for approaching that? I mean, do you tell the person in advance? Do you kidnap them and not tell them? I mean, what have you, in your experience, what works the best from the point of maintaining the dignity of the individual?
Well, again, with this particular disease, as it progresses, their memory and recognition of surroundings varies and changes. And so we call it deception through comfort. We actually will, for most individuals, when you move them, they don't know that they've been moved. So you can kind of delay them with a story or kind of shift their attention to, oh no, this is just a temporary, it's an opportunity for you to interact with, more individuals your age. And so they kind of absorb that. And as they become more dependent on the facility, there are less and less issues as far as noticing that they're not in their home any longer.
So if someone is in a stage that they're still really understanding pretty much what's going on, but they're having some memory loss or there's issues that they can't be by themselves or with a local caregiver, it's trying to be honest with them as much as you possibly can,
right,
or as much as they can deal with. And if you are in the later stages, obviously, then you do what you have to do to make it successful.
Exactly. And no one likes to lie, as we call it, to a family member. But you have to look at it as more of a redirection of information. They're going to harp on the fact that they're not home and that they want to go home. And if you redirect them to, but look at this surrounding, or what happens when you go here and do this, then they're shifted and they're not focused in on the fact that they're not in the home, and they can interact and tell you a little bit more about what they're actually doing in the facility that they're in.
Sure. That's great advice, and we really appreciate all you've brought to this program.